I get the feeling that I know a lot of you will understand the sentiment I'm about to express. Lately, it doesn't really seem to matter how much you try to control your feeds. The algorithm will still present you with suggestive content because it rewards anything that grabs attention. And it's got me thinking about social media, the loneliness epidemic, and even the world at large. And I think I've put some things together well enough to start to understand why so many of us feel broken. I'm going to focus on how this specifically affects men because that's the experience I know firsthand, but a lot of this applies to anyone who might be feeling this way, so don't think that I'm trying to exclude you based on gender. So, as I just mentioned, it doesn't seem to matter how much you try to influence your timeline, and a large part of the way of why it is that way is because our feeds, in a way, in a sense, have become global. It doesn't really matter what you like or don't like. If something is successful online, if something is attracting attention, it's getting views, it's getting clicks for a platform, that platform will show it to you and to other people. Even if you tell it, I'm not interested, you know, a bajillion times, it doesn't matter. You will still see it at some point. And a large reason of why you will still see it and why excuse me, and why we're seeing it all over the place is because this style of content does not actually break any online rules. In fact, a lot of these platforms purposefully leave their rules vague in order to create a sort of gray area. And they intentionally keep this gray area because they're competing not only with other online platforms like, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, but they're also competing with other websites because a lot of people, when they see this stuff on their feed, their natural progression is to seek the stronger, more engaging versions of it elsewhere. And these regular social media websites know this. So it's really all just a game of them trying to compete with each other for your time and attention. And this game is centered around engagement. Engagement is king when you're online. Both positive and negative engagement are basically seen the same way when it comes to the algorithm. So it's easy to fall into emotional traps such as rage baits and clickbait because it drives engagement. It's an engagement farm. And these same people that are boosting engagement, a lot of them, even if they don't necessarily agree with or personally enjoy taking that route, it's a natural line for new online creators to follow, right? Because so many other people are doing it. It's kind of like that saying, if you can't beat them, join them. And what I've gathered is that one of the largest contributors to this phenomenon existing is artificial intimacy and a lack of real love. For a lot of people, regardless of your gender, artificial intimacy has replaced real, natural, romantic emotions and interactions. If you look at people's online offerings, these content creators, a lot of them have some things like, virtual companionship experience, such as going on real dates, quote unquote, through a video live stream. And you'll also notice that with the other videos, they use cinematography to promote these artificial interactions. The actress or actor will create an illusion that makes your brain think they're personally connecting with you through the screen. These things, they're an artificial connection, whether you realize it or not. They are preying on your desire for connection. You're longing for this intimacy, and then they trick you with technology. And why do we fall victim to such an artificial connection? It's because in our modern era, as a society, on a community level, we're more connected than ever. Yet, on a personal level, we're more divided than ever before in human history. A lot of us know what happens around the world. We keep up with current situations, we keep up with geopolitical issues and global disasters. We keep up with celebrities and crap like that doesn't really matter if you break it down in terms of your own life, it is so far and away removed from your own life. And yet, despite us knowing about all this stuff in the world, we don't even really know what's going on inside our own brains or inside the lives of the people that we keep close to us, our family, our friends, and our loved ones. I'm sure it comes as no surprise to many of you that humans can be absolute dogs. Attraction and romance naturally drives almost everything in our lives. A lot of us seek status, wealth, external validation, some sort of success, because throughout the history of humanity, a lot of people seek these things because it leads to reproduction and it's rewarded by society, which, don't get me wrong, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's the natural inclination of humans. The problem is that we're not living in a natural world. We are living in unprecedented times. And in these unprecedented times, men particularly don't have as many tools to use for coping and for emotional work. A lot of us don't have people that we feel like we can talk to openly. Many of us don't even know who we could even begin to try to express our feelings to, and this leads so many of us to internalize our problems. All of this is only exacerbated by the fact that typically safe male communities either just don't exist at all or they're stigmatized. These online interactions reveal something else that's key. Online interactions are easy. They don't have all the risk, the potential negativity, the fear, the weight that comes with real world socializing. You don't have to speak to people face to face. This aspect, coupled with our human tendency to follow the path of least resistance, might be a massive contributor to these feelings of loneliness, romantic longing, and resentment. What's worse is these negative emotions only become exacerbated by repetitive scrolling. This repetitive scrolling will lower your energy and your mood, and when your energy and your mood is lowered, your inhibitions become lowered. And when that happens, well, that content starts looking all the more appealing for a nice hit of dopamine. These platforms capitalize on your desire for that and on your desire for connection, and they intrinsically will lead you to compare yourself to other people. And this comparison is almost always a negative. It's so easy to think that you're behind in life when you're viewing other people's stories of cherry-picked experiences and achievements, and this comparison can easily cause resentment of others. An overarching narrative in all of this is it really seems like nobody knows what the hell is going on. There's so many of us that are too young to know a world that existed before the internet, before technology. So many of us grew up in a rapidly evolving society of unchecked technology, and this unchecked technology has led us to all of these problems. And these are big, scary problems that are new for the human experience. We don't have concrete solutions that are rooted in past tribulations. We're basically winging it. This shift in technology, combined with these societal problems I've mentioned, is what changes our psychology and can lead to antisocial, destructive behaviors. The issue is we can't always see the sources of these problems. We can only see the symptoms and how they manifest outwardly. We can't always see the underlying problem and how they started or how they're spreading. And because we can't necessarily identify these sources, it is so easy to blame outside influences such as society, culture, or social media. It's only human to look outward. And I want you to know that I don't think I'm above any of this. I don't think I'm above any of these feelings or emotions. I've been there myself. I'm not that old. I'm about to be 29. But I was married for years previously, and I honestly thought that was it, you know? I thought that was the woman that I was gonna be with for the rest of my life. I loved her, and I was happy. But it didn't last, and we got divorced. And it's quite a long story. I'm not here to talk about my divorce, so that's not the point of this video. But I want you to know that I was that person. I was that guy. I was on these websites every single day to distract myself. But I realized that it was only making my life exponentially worse. And as I could feel my life falling apart, I myself started to slip into an abyss of despair. I just didn't feel like myself. I felt like an outsider in my own skin. It was miserable. It was soul crushing. But I managed to find a light, to find hope. And it wasn't easy at all. But I want to share that with y'all. I pushed myself to disconnect from these negative sources, to stop giving them my energy, my concentration, my time. And little by little, it was working. You know, I started to look people in the eyes again. I was waking up with energy. I could feel myself, in some way, starting to heal. I realized that I was capable of change, and that I wasn't powerless like I was telling myself. And that's why I wanted to make this video in the first place, is for all of you. I want all of you to know that I've been there and that it is possible. You know, whatever your name is out there, you can do something if you want to. You're not alone. You're not weak. And you're not done. You know, you will climb out of this pit. The same pit that tried to swallow me. And don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you to just work harder or put yourself out there, you know, pick yourself up by your bootstrap. No, none of that garbage. I'm telling you that it isn't time to give up these things that you feel inside of yourself. You can do something about them and make a difference. The problem is that this style of content is literally designed to break you over and over again in a cycle. And the dopamine reward circuitry connected to it that so many of us are falling victim to will hijack everything else in your life. And it's so easy to blame yourself for this stuff, but it's not fair because you're not weak. You're just human. A lot of you out there are not wrong. The world at large is changing. It's becoming overstimulating. However, that's no excuse for us to remain powerless because your identity is not tied to any of this. Just like your job, or your car, or your house, or whatever else you want to point out. You don't have to let your circumstances define who you are as a person. These issues can be addressed and resolved, but it takes so much. For me and a lot of people who have found success, physical, tangible activities and goals are one of the easiest and simplest ways to break yourself out of the cycle. Going to the gym or stay with me. Please don't tune out. Going to the gym, meeting friends in real life, talking to your romantic interests, face to face. These things can help. Conserve and focus your energy towards what it is that you want. And most importantly, don't become so preoccupied with fighting against what it is you don't want. And what you'll notice is that a lot of these things are small changes. A lot of these things don't require willpower because small changes beat willpower. And I want you all to understand something. This system that we're struggling against is infinitesimally larger than we are. I don't say that to scare you. I say it to shine a light on the situation because this system literally outguns us billions to one in terms of resources. So your best choice, in my opinion, is baby steps. And it might sound goofy, but this could be as simple as physically removing your devices from your control. You know, changing your app settings, setting timers, usage controls. Things like that are just examples. But the point is that there is always a way forward. I really hope this video has helped at least one of you out there who are struggling with these feelings. And if you are struggling with these feelings, I just want you to know that you're not alone. And a lot of us out here, we're willing to help. There's so many of us. And we're right there with you. We're struggling with all the same problems that you are. And as brothers and sisters, we need to raise each other up and give each other this love that we might not be able to get from other sources. And speaking of love, I would just like to say to all of you who tuned into the video, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and I love you guys for clicking on my channel and clicking on this video. And even more so, if you did watch all the way, I would really appreciate it if you guys subscribed and liked the video. And if you want to, maybe consider leaving a comment and talk to us about it, you know. Communicate with me and the other members of the community about how you feel in regards to this topic or any other topic that you want to talk about with the boys. Well, I'm sure a lot of you are tired of listening to my voice, so I'll let you go. I'll see y'all around. Cadillac Zach, out.